Thank you for taking a few minutes to learn more about Gravity's advanced multi-entity features. With version 7 of Gravity, we have now advanced our capabilities of managing multiple entities within an organization. Gravity's always been very strong at being able to make transactions across companies very easily, consolidate reporting both financial and operational, and give users the ability to manage an organization as well as each of the legal entities that are within that organization. So let's just take a recap here for a moment on some of our previous multi-entity features, which include the ability to make one transaction across entities very easily. Here we have our monthly payroll, and of course we have the ability to import that if we want to, but that payroll can actually be made across companies. In a situation where I have a holding company paying the payroll for other entities, I can import that in for my payroll software, and you'll see Enterprise has got a $25,000 credit. They're paying the bill, but each of these companies is getting a share of the expense. This is one transaction for the user, and we are going to actually create multiple transactions within Gravity. So when this is posted, Constellation will get a $10,000 expense to salaries, but also a $10,000 due to Enterprise. And Enterprise will get a $10,000 due from. And so we simplify bringing in bills from vendors across companies, journal entries across companies, so on. But now with version 7, we've enhanced our multi-entity capabilities based upon a lot of user feedback. One of the limitations in our previous versions was the fact that you would pick a company here at the top of the menu. That would be your focal point, and you would work within that company. Again, transactions across companies, but you would be focused on that company. And if you had to make a transaction in another company, you would exit the screen, change the company, re-enter the screen, make that transaction. And so we've learned from our users that we want to make that much more efficient. Now in version 7, we have the ability to enter the code for the company right on the transaction. That means, let's say I have two journal entries here for Constellation. I can make those, but then I can hit new. I don't have to change any companies at the menu level. I can just come in here and say, I want to enter a transaction for Enterprise, and I would then enter that transaction. Then I would hit new, and I would say, let's go make a transaction for another entity. So really what happens is this is now just a pointer to make it easier to fill in that code, but you can make any transaction for any company that you have security to see without having to exit the form, go change companies, come back into the form. And that just makes it so much more efficient. And you're able to now work with your entities and all their transactions at once. Instead of just seeing one slice of one entity at a time, you have the ability to work with multiple entities. I could post these journal entries from multiple entities. I can search for a transaction across entities. Now, of course, security still comes into play. You can only work with the entities that you have security to see. If we were to go to the next step and say, let's put a bill in, same thing. I can have this as my pointer for Constellation. But what that's going to allow me to do, though, is I can enter a bill for any entity that I have security to see. I don't have to put two bills in, leave the screen, go to another screen, put another bill in, leave the screen, change companies, come back in again. I can be much more efficient by just putting in a bill, changing the company on the next bill, putting that bill in, so on. So it really simplifies a lot of the work that Gravity has in the way of using the whole multi-entity structure. And I'm going to show you another new feature that we've added in our advanced multi-entity. And this is the ability to make payments from one company where the bills are entered in other companies. So let's say you have a situation where you have a shared vendor, and that vendor, you put some of the bills in company A, and you separately went to company B and you entered some bills also. But really what I want to do is make one payment for all the bills, even though some are in company A and some are in company B. We have the option now, as you can see with this apply to multiple entities, in building a batch of payments where I can say, okay, I want to consolidate the fact that Sam Smith has a bill in Enterprise and two bills in Constellation. I want to be able to consolidate that into one payment. Again, simplifying the whole payment process. I don't have to go into each company and have a check run there, for example. On our remittance advice, we're going to print the entity on there so your vendor, when they get that, will know that they have one bill from Enterprise and two bills from Constellation, simplifying the process of being able to make one payment run for all your companies instead of having to make individual separate payment runs. So these are just a few of the features we've added to Gravity in version 7, really striving to have more efficiency, easier capabilities of working with multiple entities. So thank you for taking a few minutes again to learn about these features.